Good evening, Savannah Academy. I hope you all are doing well again. Welcome back to the second video inside of this little mini-series about some of the code that we've been doing in class the last couple of class periods. So last video, it's a little choppy, I will say. I might need to figure out another way to record these and upload them to YouTube. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But for right now, this is what we're going to do. Hopefully the audio is better in this one as well. If you need me to explain the video again from the first time, hopefully this is a lot better. But anyways, we're going to continue on with what we've been learning. So last time we looked at some styling of text. If you want to look at what that looks like, this is what it is all looking like. So this is the base code we used. Here we have put somebody loves you baby in the p tags, and then we stylize it here in CSS. So now we're going to add on to what we've already done, and we are going to add in some tables in the mix. Okay, so we're going to go up here just for the sake of the tutorial. I'm going to change this the title of this replet from just styling text to styling text underscore styling tables, just so that it's representative of the code that's going to be encapsulated in this particular replet. Okay, so if you're following along, you can do it all on your own sheet as well, or just sit back and listen. So we're going to run this right here. So this is our output from our last code right here. Somebody loves you, baby. And now we're going to add in some more HTML or some more structure to this website in the form of tables. Okay. So if we go down here, I'm going to go within the body tags, opening and closing body tags, or just the body element. I am going to add in a table. So the way to create a table, just a little bit of a throwback from last year. You can look this up on YouTube if you like a more in-depth video, but I'm just going to do a quick and dirty one right now. So here we do an opening and closing table tag, which forms the table element. So again, opening and closing table, table or any tag is going to form an element with content in the middle. Went over this last time. If you need more information, look it up on W3 Schools or Google. All that being said, I have now set up our opening and closing table tags. And so now we're going to set up our table rows. So if you do not remember from last year, the way that you create a table or build a table within HTML is by building it row by row by row. So we're going to start out with a table row, or in this case, TR. And I'm just going to open and close that so that I know I have properly opened and closed that. So we have opening our less than, TR, greater than, and then we have a corresponding less than / TR greater than. Okay. And so within this first row, I'm just going to add 2 columns just for the sake of time and example. Obviously, you can build on more and more as you go, but I'm just going to do a table heading at this point. A table heading basically just takes normal text and it makes it bold, and I believe it also centers it as well. So I'll just say first name. And then again, we're going to open and close the table heading or TH tags within the TR tags or TR element. And now I'm going to create another table heading, but instead of first name, it's going to be last name. Okay. And so basically what I've just created is a basic format of a table, and I've created one row because we have one pair of table row opening and closing tags, or we have one table row element, and then we have 2 columns because we have 2 table headings within that one table row. So if we run this in our code, you'll see that it looks kind of ugly right now because there's no styling, but we do have just one row and we have 2 columns. Okay, so now let's add in some data here. So of course you can do your own first and last name, but since I'm Satchel Holmes Williams, I'm going to input my first and last name into this table. So the way that you do that, again, we build out tables by rows. So I'm going to take basically what we've done up here. I'm going to copy and paste it. Again, work smarter, not harder. Please do not type all this out because tables can be very tedious if you continually type out all these tags. It can get a little confusing. I would use your copy and paste function often. But instead of using table heading, which is where we have this bold text right here, I'm actually going to be using another type of tag called the table data. And what table data does, it just makes the text look like regular text on a page. There's no bolding or whatnot on it. It's just regular old smegular text. Okay. And since it's not a heading anymore and we're actually putting data into the table, we don't want we want to differentiate the heading of the table and the data of the table. Okay, so we're just going to change the TH to a TD, table heading, to table data. And here I'm just going to fill in the blanks. So my first name is Satchel, so S-A-T-C-H-E-L. No, it's going to be famous one day. And then my last name is Holmes-Williams, double last name, mother and father. When we run this, we now see that we have some more characteristic to our table. It's starting to look more like a table and not just some bundled up text. So here we have now 2 rows. Why? Because we have 2 pairs of table row opening and closing tags, or we have 2 table row elements. And then within those elements, we have 2 columns. One is table heading and the other one is table data, but that has a 2x2 table, or 2 column and 2 row table. So that's a pretty good table. We're just going to keep that for now. And now we're going to go and we're going to stylize this table, add some of those table characteristics that we all know and love. And I'm just looking down here, making sure my timer is still running. And yes, it is. I just want to check that out. We do have a little bit more time left. I do have a 15-minute time limit on this. So I do have to be a little quick with this. So here, the way that we stylize the table is slightly different how than we stylize our text up here, because text is a lot easier to stylize because there's only one element or one part of text to stylize. In this case, we only had to stylize the P element because all our text was wrapped around was in P's. But when you look at a table isn't just one element. You have the table element that encases the TR or table row elements, that encase the table heading elements, and that encase the table data elements. There's literally 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 different elements that are making up this simple table that we have inside of our output box. So we do have to then be able to stylize all those at the same time to do what we're trying to do, which is simply add some borders around here so that it gives it a little bit more pizzazz. So we're going to go over here just like last time. Right now we're in our index.html, and we're going to go over to our style.css, which is where we're going to add the razzle dazzle to this very plain table. So we are going to go here, and just like with last time, you want to call out every single element you want to stylize inside of this opening block. So with the text, we styled the P. So here we want to stylize all those elements associated with tables. So we want to do table. That's one element that we use. And to differentiate between them, we're going to use commas. So table, and then we also had another one called table row, because remember, we built out a table with table rows. The other elements we used were table heading, so comma table heading, and then finally we did use table data for my first and last name. And once you've gotten done to the final element you want to stylize using CSS, now we're going to do just like we did up at the top. We're going to add in some brackets, and again, Replit automatically will create a matching ending bracket when you start a starting bracket. So I'm just going to add enter in there, and this is how we're going to start our tag. Looks like we have a little bit of a squiggle line here. I'm not sure what that is, but we're going to check it in a bit. So if we go back to this PowerPoint here, and again, this PowerPoint will be inside of Google Classroom, so just make sure you check that out. The biggest thing I want to teach you all today, or remind you all of, is how we add borders to tables. And these borders are not only for tables. You can add borders around any element inside of CSS. So don't just limit yourself to tables. You can add it around paragraphs, add it around headings, footers, etc. But for this case, we are just adding it around a simple table. So the way that you do this, so just like last time, we call a property. In this case, our property is going to be border, and this is within those brackets after you've called out table, table row, table data, and table heading. So just make sure that is clear. Also, I do have a double semicolon there. All right, we're going to do border and then colon, and that just means, hey, this is a property here, and then after that colon are the values of that property. So there are 3 values that are associated with the border property in CSS. It is the sizing of the border, it is the border type, so solid border, dash border, double border, dotted border, etc. And I'll show you what those look like. And then the color of the border, because again, you want to add a little color to your table. So let's go ahead and look at the sizing. I like to work in pixels whenever possible because they're just easier to work with. So I'm just going to say 10 pixels, but you can do whatever you want to. Maybe do it by your age or whatnot. I'm going to do 10 pixels because it's an easy number to see. And then I'm going to choose what kind of border I want. For now, I'm going to choose the very traditional, but very effective solid border. And I'll show you what the different borders look like in a second. And then finally, let's give this border a color. So our text was blue-violet. So let's do something that matches with that. Let's do a nice green. Let's do green, because I think, you know, purple, blue, violet, and green, they match, kind of like a Joker vibe, right? So I want to do green, and then it shows up, it populates it for me, and then I'm just going to put a semicolon. Do not forget the semicolon. Semicolons are important. Their lives matter, just like Black Lives Matter. You'll catch that tomorrow. Here, we're going to run this, and we can see how we've done. So here, you can see that our border is a little thick. It's 10 pixels wide. We have a solid border. So again, solid just means that it's all one continuous border. There are no breaks in it. And then you have our color green, and that's the stylizing. And just to show you all how the other borders will look, we can make this a dashed border. And this is how a dash border will look. So it does have a dash look to it. You can do dotted. We can run that. It'll look like a whole bunch of dots around there. And then you can also do double, which may look a little strange here. But here, I'm going to run it anyways. And you can do double. It's more like triple here, the way it's set up. But I'm going to show you how to make this not look so many borders. So I'm going to go back to solid, but as you can see, there's many different ways in which you can customize this. Obviously, you can make the physical dimensions of the borders thicker or skinnier, depending on your preference. And of course, you can make it a different color, whatever you want. So I'm just going to go back to what we had it last time with our solid border. And now I'm going to do something that is very important when you're looking at a table, which is collapsing the borders. Basically taking away this kind of doubleness that's here. And the reason why this occurs is because, remember, we are stylizing the table element, which is this very big border around everything. And then the table heading, table data, and table row elements, which are these inner borders right here. So since we are stylizing all them at the same time, this is going to create this kind of double border effect. And I'll show you what happens if I only want to do table. So I'm going to do Control X here at the end of this, and you'll see what I mean by the outside border. So let's say, oh, well, why don't you just use table? And why do you have to call the other ones? Because if you just use table only has a certain jurisdiction. It's not going to stylize the innards of the table because, well, the table doesn't have that jurisdiction. So that's why we call them all out. And since we call them all out inside of our CSS, we now have to collapse them to make it look more like a traditional table. So the property that we use for that is called border hyphen, don't forget the hyphen, collapse. And please make sure we spell collapse right. I've been seeing some people not spell collapse right. Just make sure we're spelling the collapse right. We're going to tab it over, and then that gives us our colon. And now we're going to just make the value of this collapse. I'm going to take that off the screen. And then we're going to press semicolon. And what this will do is it will combine the outer table border with the inner borders of table row, table data, table heading, and create this nice sleek border right here. And of course, you can do other styling things to this. So I can make the background a different color. So let's say background color. And again, I'm just going to make this like the other one. I'm going to make it beige, but I think I like this antique white, which is very similar to beige. Again, the property is background color, and the actual value is that white right there. So here, now we have a beige or antique white, in this case, background color for our table. But yeah, that's tables in a nutshell. Those are really the big things you want to know about a table, is how to set up the borders of a table, and how to collapse the borders. Everything else you can apply from what we've done inside of text. So you can change the font size within the table if you want. You can change the type of styling, whether it's bolded or italicized in the table. You can make things centered. So you can apply all the things we did up here with the previous lesson to the table as well. So I'm not going to go through that. It should be pretty intuitive to apply the same principles. And the other thing I want to show you before we run out of time is just padding. And padding, basically you can pad top, right, bottom, and left. And so if I pad this 20px and just put 20px 4 times, that is going to pad this table out within the table 20px or 20 pixels. And when we run this, you'll see that the table has a lot more room in it. The first value stands for the top top padding. The second value is right. the third value is bottom, and then the fourth value is left, and I'm running out of time.